Welcome, everybody, back in the fandom zone. It is the most earth breaking, ground shaking, but never media shell money taking. The man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying YouTuber in YouTube entertainment today, Mr. General Zod. And I do apologize for running a little bit late, but family things. And speaking of family, we got a great, well, at least in my opinion, and I don't know these other gentlemen's opinions, but we got a pretty good episode to review here tonight. So it's going to be some fun. But first, let me introduce y'all to Mr. Lonely McMahon. Go ahead and tell him a little bit about yourself.
Well, tonight, if you're Zod Filoni, I guess I'm Lonely Lucas.
I love it. That is great stuff.
So is PB Kennedy?
Oh man!
Sorry, PB. We got a very short list of names you can use.
You know,
Hey, in your defense, that was the name that I thought of too when you took Lonely Lucas. I was like, well, I guess I'm stuck with PB Kennedy. I'll play the villain.
I'm a team player. I can be, Lonely Kennedy since she isn't very well liked among the Star Wars fans online. So it would be fitting for me to be Lonely Kennedy.
Oh man. Oh, I highlighted myself, so let me just take myself off of there. We have USMC Rebels who just subscribed to me. Thank you, USMC, and thank you for joining us.
What's up, James? My man requesting the wrench because it's dangerous out there in these YouTube streets right now.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. I don't have the thing pulled up. I have to actually go through the YouTube, but I will put you on there because I just don't. I can't do it while I'm in StreamYards because this is really stupid setup.
Yeah.
But I'll add you on later, so don't worry about that. I appreciate it. I had to go mod hunting. The channel has gone through some changes. I had to take some people out and switch around things. So
who did you murder?
I rather not stay, so that if I'm asked, I don't.
Internet murder.
And of course, we have the Senate. What up, Senate? We have Perp Minded. I appreciate it because Perp has not watched one episode, but still here to support us and probably talk about Daisy. So,
and the Polish guy is here.
And of course, yes, I want to just say something, PB. The Polish guy actually went on one of my videos and asked me when we were doing the Clone Wars. So shout out to you, man. I really appreciate the fact that you're enjoying our commentary here. So salute to you.
He also he hit up my when I did my MC rankings with Second Street Marvel. He dropped his rankings in the comments. So salute.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's good to get those people engaging us on the actual topic. I know you appreciate that. So
Absolutely.
So yeah. Anyways, we're here tonight. But before we get started, because PB didn't go, Mr. I guess PB Lucas, go ahead and tell him a little bit about yourself. What qualifies you to talk about Clone Wars?
The mask and the lightsaber.
Fair enough.
And the fact that I've seen every single episode.
I think those are very fair qualifications. They definitely in this YouTube verse make you more qualified than most. So tonight everyone is gathered here. We're here to talk about the episode of Clone Wars number 7, Dangerous Debt. And I like to do a little bit of scouting from the other camps, see what everyone is saying, because I think it gives a good perspective on because when we go back through these Clone War episodes have actually been decent to the point where we haven't had anything really people can complain about. So they reach for a lot of other things, like stuff that was cut out and, all the other nonsense we've covered through these reviews.
Well,
So,
yeah, when the episode isn't a bad episode and you want to complain about it, you got to talk about the stuff that actually doesn't exist.
yeah. I never really actually thought about it that way, but yeah, that's
Hold
true.
on a second here. This purple man in the comments, perp-minded, says, "Still no Rey in this show? Dude, she's not even alive yet."
Yes, the Clone Wars, man, are before the sequel trilogy, so I don't even think
Yeah.
she's really being thought of yet. If we're going
No, like the
timeline.
Clone Wars it happens before episode 3. So you got episode 3, and then you have 20 years of Luke growing up, and then you have another, 30 years after episode 6 to get to episode 7. So in that time period is when Rey is born. So she's not even thought about yet.
And we have two good comments. I have one from Gary North saying, "I'm not watching the season till it's finished." And you know what? I don't blame him, because going back through, and we've said this before, it's the syndrome everyone has. They don't like doing the week by week. I'm not going to cover that again. But going back through and watching the episodes in sequence, I think helps it feel a lot smoother. So Gary North, I definitely understand you wanting to watch everything as a whole instead of having to do week by week and backtrack and stuff. So I don't blame you for that. And USMC Rebels says that her dad is a toddler at this point, I think. LOL. So I definitely am inclined to agree with that. He's not even a thought in the Star Wars universe right now. So very good points. But yeah. And also to make sure that you tweet us out, let people know that we're live and we're streaming. And in case you haven't been on the stream, this is going to be spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen the episode, click off, watch it real quick, because it's only about 20 minutes, and then come back and whatever. If you have, let's talk about it. So
if you got a high enough bandwidth connection, you can watch both at the same time.
Yeah, do a side by side.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm being ignored by the other panelists. I might have to go in the corner and be upset. See, this is why Perp is here. Perp is giving us some solid comedic value in the chat. What was that, LB?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, the Polish guy says, "And Clone Wars should not reference the sequels. I hope they won't." That's a very fair assessment.
Stone Cold Jeremy is here. Swig of orange soda for Stone Cold Jeremy. Oh, hell yeah.
And we got K-Log here. What's up? Representing the green community.
What up? What up, Kermit?
What's up, Kermit? I'm gonna call him Kermit forever. I can't help myself.
My man Kermit despises this season.
Really?
He does. And man, we been talking about it behind the scenes, and I haven't had time to hop on these streams or whatever, because they do their stream right at the same time I'm doing my watch along. But it's really exhausting, doing these streams that late at night, especially when the episode is so short compared to The Mandalorian, which was a little bit longer. But
right.
Me and him have been talking in the DMs and stuff about the episodes, and I fully 100% understand why he isn't a fan of the season. It's his problems with it is I don't have a problem with what he's saying at all, not one bit. It's not like he's sitting there saying why I hate Disney Star Wars. No, he's coming up with legit complaints, so it's valid.
And that's the thing. That's the reason why we do this, right? It's for constructive criticism. Get everyone in the chat's thoughts. You know what I mean? like constructive show reasons. And to tell you the truth, I've got some things, but I'm still going to give this a high rating, which sounds contradictory, but welcome to General Zod's Phantom Zone. So, but I did have a few issues, and yet I don't. And I know that sounds weird, and hopefully I explain myself well. But before we get started into all that, and before we start like diving deep into the episode, let me just get your guys' general thoughts, and then we'll kind of go into breaking down the scenes and stuff like that. LB, how did you generally feel about this episode?
Well, let me tell you, since PB Lucas is here and he is the creator of this whole universe, I think he should be going first before me.
Okay, so PB Lucas, let me get
I appreciate that.
Let me get your thoughts as the creator.
Yeah, my overall thoughts are, I mean, if we break it up into arcs, I would say of the Ahsoka arc, this was the best episode so far. It had a whole lot of action in it. It had a lot of intrigue. I thought for sure this was going to be the episode where they caught her in using some type of Jedi skills, because there was a couple times where I was like, oh, she's not going to be able to hold back and they're going to catch her. And they didn't. So I thought it was a great episode. Might not be the best one of the season. I think that I would probably still put episode 3 as the best one, but it might be the second best.
Oh, my.
Senna is interacting quite a bit here. Boring filler for me. Said it. Don't be dropping that filler word here. You know how LB feels about filler. No, he said, I like the Bad Batch stuff more, way more. That's fair. That's the action kind of thing. He says, tech, yeah, it was that dude. Maybe I'm biased. It reminds me of me. Okay, fair enough.
Reminds me.
But yeah, that's a fair assessment. LB, how did you feel about it?
What did you think of it, Lonely Kennedy?
Well, I enjoyed the episode, but y'all know I hate to say this, but this episode was filler. Like, this is the first episode I can legitimately say to you that this was filler. And why was this episode filler? They started out in the prison. They ended up in the prison. So it's like...
You know what?
Interesting.
I highlighted the same... When I was watching it, that's the thing about this episode that grinded me the wrong way, I will say, because it was like they got through all that cool stuff. They were right there, and they end up right back where they start. And I kind of get the point of it, but at the same time, it kind of felt like, man, we're in episode 7 of 12, and we're right back where we started. And I understand it's probably like a 3-part arc.
Yep.
But, it felt very to be continued, very like, you know what I mean.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Like I said, I enjoyed the episode. I liked what went on in the episode. Trace continues to be a complete buffoon. But, man, it's like, okay, we got 12 episodes. This is episode 7. We're almost to the end of this. There's no reason for you to have an episode this late in the season where, technically nothing happens. I mean, I liked that we saw, the Mandalorians and stuff, but like, really, nothing happened. Like, filler, 100%.
Yeah, K-Log is just going ham right now, or going frog. Says 4-part arc out of 13. Bunch of BS.
Yeah.
Well,
man.
so it's out of 12.
Well, my man K-Log likes to partake in certain things that, makes the memory and the typing go strange. So, forgive my man.
It's okay. We'll let it slide.
Yeah,
Like being one
absolutely.
number off isn't gonna fucking
Yeah.
destroy the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Curtis, thank you for coming in, even if you're just saying hi. But if you're working, you could just leave us on in the background. Don't kill my retention time, man.
Curtis YZ, man. What up? What up? Gary, what up?
No, no. I agree with Gary North too. He says filler or lack of ideas. I agree that it's filler. I wouldn't say a lack of idea. I do still feel that it is going somewhere. There's a point. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm like, this is going nowhere. They're just spinning their wheels. It doesn't feel that way at all. It feels like the stuff that's happening in between is just like they're like, okay, we need an episode.
Yeah.
And it just feels like, hey, we need something to happen to this week, so let's just throw this in here. But it doesn't feel like they don't know where the story is going.
Right.
Especially, I want to bring up the highlight of the episode for me was seeing the Mandalorians again.
Right.
So there, I can tell there's a lot of different moving parts going on here. I just wish they would have gotten to the point. That was my thing. Like, I was in it for a majority of this episode. I thought it was very exciting. There was a lot more action. They did the action while moving kind of dialogue. It was all good. The thing that rubbed me the wrong way was the ending. The ending to me felt like a big giant circle. I was so upset.
And when I was watching it live, I can't remember if Senate was there with me, but man, I was watching it live, and it's like, okay, when they got put back in the jail, I checked the time stamp of the episode, and I was like, what? It's over?
Yep.
Perp says our Disney checks are paying off. Yes, I am doing the Campia thing. I'm trying to talk around.
Hey, no, I wished I had a Disney check right about now.
That'd be nice.
I mean,
yeah, I agree with what the Polish guy said. He said if it wasn't for the ending, this could be a great episode. 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah. And I honestly, I don't think any of us would be tripping off of this episode if we knew for a fact this wasn't the final season. And this was like a 24 episode, like a full season. But the fact that, this is 12 episodes, they claim this is the final season. I'm still sticking to my theory that at the end they're going to be like part 2 coming soon. But yeah, man, 12 episodes. If this is the actual 12 episodes, we don't need this at episode 7. Right? Progress this story. And y'all know I've been talking about this ain't filler the whole season. This was definitely filler, man.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So, let's highlight some good points. And I'll start with you guys and then kind of tell me, tell you my good points.
See, you guys didn't like the ending. I thought the way that they were setting up the ending, because I didn't expect them to get caught at the end either. I thought they were going to escape the same way that the Bad Batch escaped with Echo and their arc. But I feel like they got recaptured so that Ahsoka is going to have to reveal that she is a Jedi to get them out of the cell. Like when she's in the cell, she uses whatever force technique she had. I assume it's some type of force push telekinesis thing to just open the cell, which means she could do that at any point. It's just pushing a button from inside the cell with the force. So now that they're back in there, they're going to be like, oh, we're screwed. And she's going to be like, well, not really.
Yeah. Like next, I mean, we ain't talk about next episode, but yeah, we still in. Polish guy says, he feel like the whole arc is filler. I don't feel that way, because I mean, we're going to get a payoff in the arc, and I mean, I guess this could be a bigger discussion we could have like later on. Like, okay, what at the end of this arc? I guess we could talk about the entire arc on some like, okay, what were you expecting for Ahsoka's return, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's we could do that later. But yeah, man, I don't feel like the arc is filler. I just felt like this episode was.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
the thing to me is I feel like they're trying to follow the same kind of format they did when they first aired. Problem is, you have a smaller slate. They could get away with two or
right.
three episodes that were just kind of throwaway. Here, you can't because the episode slate is smaller. People's expectations are higher. There's a lot of hype around this, whether or not, the naysayers want to say it's not there. Everybody's tuning in because everyone's doing a video. So, I mean, the hype is there. So I think it's a lot more people closely now breaking down the episodes than we were back when we had 22 episodes. So it's a lot more necessity to move the story along than to kind of dilly dally with this useless stuff where the whole episode's a complete circle.
What up, Wookie? What up, Wookie?
Ah, Wookie! Good to see you, Wookie.
Hey, Wookie.
Welcome.
And
But
Stone Cold Jeremy said it's kind of similar to a horror survival game where you come across a locked door, beat a tough boss that drops the key, and the door takes you back to the starting area.
Dun dun dun.
man, Stone Cold dropping some knowledge. Very, very, yeah, very true. It just felt like they needed that episode that pads out the rest of the season, honestly, because we're getting close to the finish line here. And, I watching it, I felt like they didn't have that one defining episode to kind of detour. They're trying to tell a linear story where Clone Wars used to tell, separate kind of stories and then one straight arc. They're just trying to tell one very linear to the point story. And I think that the thing with Rex is going to come back because we've seen it. We've seen Rex and Ahsoka talking. So we know they're going to meet up eventually at some point in the show. So I think they're trying to make everything tie together. And it's a different story format than they've normally done. So, it's I think there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts, a lot of facets that are going at the same time. And we don't even know really what this is going to lead into too with that. Like I said, that news with the Mandalorian, I have a feeling good old Filoni's trying to tie every single thing together. He's trying to make Easter eggs everywhere. I mean, that's just my theory.
Okay, so highlights of the episode. What was your favorite individual moment, Lonely Kennedy?
Good question. I'm thinking probably the scene where was this the episode? Because it's a long time since I've seen it. Was this the episode where the Pike got like his head cut off when they was like escaping them? Or was that last week? I don't remember.
Oh, I don't remember seeing a head cut off in either episode. Oh shit!
No, one dude did get crushed, and then they cut it at the last minute.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
So it was this episode?
Yep.
Okay. So I enjoyed that. Okay. Like that whole sequence, I mean, I enjoyed the cinematography and how they were shooting the scenes. Like, for example, like, when they was running, they would do overhead shots and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I enjoyed that scene. I enjoyed the episode. There was a lot of cool stuff in the action sequences. Like, for example, I answered your question, but I'm just adding on to some other stuff. So go ahead, next person.
What was your favorite individual moment in general?
I would have to say, honestly, the talking and Ahsoka realizing that Rafa is not this like heartless person. I wouldn't say heartless, but I think she had this in her mind that she didn't care about her sister. And then when she broke down the story about the Jedi, and I remember that episode where she steered the thing into a house, and then they tell you what happened afterwards, and she came to talk with them and things like that. And then you got a perspective like, oh shit, she actually has a reason for being the way that she is. I like those little moments where you get, because I hate when they introduce characters or they throw in a bunch of characters and they don't give them a good backstory. They're just there just to move the story. I think that it's very cool when a writer can flesh out the characters and make you care and have a reason for them to be there, because it gives us more of a connection.
I take this back. My favorite scene was when Ahsoka beat up the 5 Pikes. I remember. I'm scrolling through the episode and I remember it more.
Okay.
Like when you don't sleep, man, your memory ain't the greatest.
Oh, I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah, man. So that was that. Did you mention yours, PB?
No, I was going to go last. My favorite individual moment was whenever after they all escaped together and then they ran into each other and then they make it outside and that platform starts pulling apart and Rafa makes it across and then Trace jumps and Ahsoka has to force push her and then Ahsoka goes to jump and both of them thinks that she fell to her death and they're like, oh, well, she didn't make it. I guess we need to leave. And she's standing behind them. And then Ahsoka just says, oh, I'm more athletic than I look. We don't have time to talk about it right now. We need to go. I thought that was spectacular.
And not only that, to add on to that, because Zod was defending Rafa, like, Rafa's babe, but like, let's keep it real. She's trash. She mentioned, like, right before Ahsoka jumped on some, hey, if you don't make it, oh well. That's how she basically was.
Yeah. If you don't make it, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, LB, but I'm a villain, so I guess I gravitate towards those kind of characters. I say I could understand her motivations a lot better. It's like a street thing. The Jedi were supposed to be there. They left these two to the hood, so to speak, and they had to do what they had to do. They had to get their hustle in order to survive. So I can't knock her for doing what she has to do. The question that remains for me is, like, would she sell out her sister? I'm still on the fence about that. I mean, that could go either way, but she's very on that line of even selling out her own family. Like, there's the moments that go,
I think she's gonna do it.
I mean, I don't know if she would straight up sell her out. I think it would be like accidentally selling her out, in the sense of, like, when we got introduced to them, you see whoever that lowlife is show up, and if Rafa wasn't there, Trace didn't know what the hell was going on. She's like, I don't owe you money. I don't know who the hell you are. He's like, well, then I'm just gonna steal your shit.
Yeah,
I don't know if she would do it outright, but she would definitely sell her out incidentally.
Like Lando, like Lando from Empire Strikes Back.
Exactly like that.
See, here's the irony. Lando is my favorite character too. Like, everyone's all like Han Solo. I go, no, Lando, because Lando is smooth. And, Han kind of still has quips about selling people out. Lando did not.
I mean,
he felt bad.
Lando was always looking at the greater good. He wasn't necessarily going, I have to sell these people out. He was saying, well, I need to protect Cloud City, so I'm going to sell out, what is it, 4 people? 4 people in a droid? He's like, yeah, I can sell these people out to protect thousands. And then when he found out that he wasn't protecting the thousands of people, he's like, well, fuck that. I don't need to sell them out anymore because I already got screwed.
Yeah.
Gary, to be honest, they are focusing on the new characters, but we don't need to focus on Yoda and Mace Windu. Just to be perfectly honest about that, they had the lost episodes for that stuff. Y'all could go back through and watch that journey. They already connected it there. I don't want them. Honestly, I don't want them focusing on other characters. The big questions to me were Ahsoka and how she got from Clone Wars to Rebels, and I like the clones, so I wanted to know how they did that. But
Well, I
I don't
mean,
want more storylines. I mean, if they happen to cross into it, that would be cool. But we've gotten a lot of their backstory already.
Yeah, and
right.
I haven't rewatched it. I'm still need to do my rewatch, but I don't think Yoda or Mace Windu was really big parts of the entire
No, I
series.
would never, in the Clone Wars, I didn't consider any of the Master Jedi main characters. The only ones that were Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, like the others had arcs, but it wasn't like focused on every single season. But anyway, I just wanted to mention before I forget. I also enjoyed the electrocution scenes early on when they was trying to get Trace to talk, and she was like, "Nah," and then I'll tell everything.
Yeah,
And
like
one thing, like, you can hate Disney for everything else in the world, but one thing you can't hate them on is the fact like they're not watering down the episodes. The women are getting electrocuted, women are getting punched, we're getting heads getting chopped off, all that stuff, man.
yeah,
Right?
there was a lot of prejudgment when this started. Remember, they were like, we said it before. They were like one or two episodes in. Oh my God, they're cutting. It's like no, there's a certain placement. Like in any show, I don't want to see violence for the sake of violence. It has to make sense within the story. We got Saw and shit like that for
Yep.
brutal violence for with no meaning behind it or a half-baked story. If I'm going to have violence and torture scenes, it's got to be moving the story along or conducive to what they're trying to tell us. Otherwise, it's just pointless.
Yeah. So I must ask you, what do you think is going to happen with the Mandalorians that showed up in the episode? What do you think is going to happen with them?
Uh, me,
Ooh.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I think that they are gonna blow Ahsoka's cover because they're the only ones who actually know who she is. I think it's gonna come to a point where they're all going to meet up, and they're gonna be the ones that drop the bomb, and be like, "Hey, why aren't you using your like Jedi skills? Because when you were with Master Anakin, you guys were all messing them up. Where's your lightsaber and all that?
So
They're just gonna
you
wreck
don't
it."
think you don't think that any of the Mandalorians know her on a personal basis?
No, because I've watched some of the old episodes and she didn't have a lot of interactions except for when she was with Anakin on certain missions. So I don't think none of them know her personally. They just know of her from when she was on a planet, like they referenced. Like they know of her and they know she's a Jedi and she's the apprentice of Anakin. But I don't think they know much beyond that.
Okay.
And what's up, King Salone?
Yeah.
So Sloan,
I'm with Kayla. Rafa's gonna sell out the Ahsoka. She's selling somebody out. Somebody's getting sold out by Rafa.
ooh, interesting. So it's going to be one. Okay, so that could be like a double cross there, where the Mandalorians are going to be talking to Ahsoka, and Rafa's going to learn she's a Jedi, and Rafa's going to be the one that sells her out.
And Trace is going to, you know, mess something up.
Right, Trace is going to be a little bitch about it and be like, "You can't do that to my friend."
Not my friend that I've known for 2 days. You can't do that to her. I love her.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to point out is that I like these episodes because they're building, but the one thing that I'm still not on board with is the whole thing between uh, Trace and Ahsoka. I think with Trace's character is very weird to me. Like, I'm glad she's an idiot because you need that kind of character. I'm glad, and you know, she's a female who's an idiot. But I mean, she's not all knowing and doing everything. So kudos for that. But at the same point, I don't think that there's going to be an earned friendship there like with other characters we've seen drop in and out. I just don't feel that connection that they would do in an earlier season. And maybe because they're shorter episodes and they're kind of rushing it. But I don't feel like if she makes that turn and goes, no, we got to save her, that I would buy it. Like, I'd be like, nah, come on. It's only been, I mean, even look at the timeline. It's been what? They've been together for a couple of days. Maybe a week.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that it's much more than that. Like, it can't be more than 2 weeks. Because it really didn't seem like they were on the ship traveling through hyperspace for all that long. It didn't seem like they were hanging out at their shop or whatever you want to call it on the platform where she crashed for all that long. It wasn't one of those things where you have Luke training with Yoda and you don't get a sense for how much time they're together. Like, she crashes there, they hang out for like a day, and then maybe another day or two pass, and then they take the job to move the spice. And then they're on their way, and then they dump it in hyperspace like a bunch of morons. Well, like one moron. But King Sloan said that he really doesn't care about the sisters. And, I mean, I would agree with him. I don't necessarily care about Rafa and Trace either. I think that the only reason that they are there is to enlighten Ahsoka to the lack of caring that the Jedi actually have. Like, the Jedi don't care about people in general. They only care about keeping the peace. That's it. They don't care about people. They just care about peace.
And balance.
That's deep.
Right.
And yeah, see, and here's the thing, because there's been the argument, well, they're attacking the characteristics of the Jedi. It's like, no, this has been established
Yeah.
for years. This is the Sith's whole argument, is that the Jedi are not like these glorious saviors that people put them on a pedestal for. And I think actually it's kind of a really good, very deep storytelling, because to fight an ultimate evil, you have to have an ultimate good that is focused on the ultimate good, and necessarily people don't factor into that ultimate good. The choices themselves are about the whole and not about the individual. And we see that a lot too in real life, over the web and things like that. The choices we make that affect a mass amount of people might be for the general good, but it might piss off a few individuals along the way. And I think that's how the Jedi see it.
So has that been a complaint from people? They're saying that man, I forgot what it was, something you said earlier on. Man, go ahead, PB. Let me try to remember. Let me scroll back.
Oh, the complaint about what people attacking the characteristics of the Jedi?
Yes. Has that been a complaint for this season?
I mean, I've heard it out there that with, especially in this arc, they're making the Jedi not look as altruistic as what they're supposed to be. And I was like, when the hell were they altruistic? Like, they're not out there to help the people. They're out there to stop rebellion.
I mean, like if that's what some people complain about, that it's like, okay, did you not see the season where Ahsoka left the Jedi Order? Like that didn't tell you
Apparently
that the
not.
Jedi ain't what they claim to be?
Apparently
I
not.
mean, even in Star Wars in general, when you look at it and you look at the debates that the Sith have had, uh, um, and Darth Sidious and all them, and the way that they've actually converted people is by saying, "Look at your order." You know what I mean? Look at what they do. Does this seem like people who aren't also self-indulgent? We're just honest about it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they.
if you take the number one character in Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker, his entire like child life, he wanted to get away from Tatooine so that he could become a Jedi and then come back and free the people. He was always about the people, and that's what made him a terrible Jedi. Not a terrible Force user, but a terrible Jedi because he was overly concerned about individuals instead of the balance of everything. Like he wants to save that one person right now instead of being like, oh, well, I got to make the choice of which way to send the train down the track. Do I kill 10 people who are old or do I kill the one baby on the other track? Like he would never be able to make that choice. He'd be like, okay, I'll blow up the train.
Yeah, basically, that's yeah, that's.
F them kids, man.
Wookie said Cade had the right idea. Yeah, yeah, I agree. 100%. But yeah, Wookie is still on the Disney thing. I'm gonna say I don't necessarily still see Disney's influence except for the cutaways on some of the shots and things like that. But I don't feel like that's the story that's being told. I still feel like it's a continuation. We're all still salty. People are very hard on anything coming out of Disney. Onward was a great example of that, which, by the way, we'll be talking about that tonight in the fandom zone because LB, you saw it. So I want to get your ideas and we'll kind of do that because there's an article about it. So we'll kind of get your reactions to what you think about the movie.
I like how this guy just automatically tells me I'm talking about it tonight. You
Aren't
see,
I?
you see
Terrible.
this PB, Lucas?
Unbelievable.
Aren't I supposed to be a dictator? Isn't that what we do?
But man,
General Filoni.
like this is why I said like I've been mentioning like I kind of want to do a stream with a bunch of other people who talk Clone Wars, but like I don't see a Disney influence in the show. Like I don't see it.
Right,
Like
like
people
I
got to show
watched
me, yeah, you got to show me like legit evidence, like where this has become a Disney infiltrated show.
yeah, I don't feel the difference. Like you watch, I mean, even if you didn't watch the Lost episodes, so you watch 5 entire seasons made by original Lucasfilm that they put on Cartoon Network. So yeah, you're not going to get a whole bunch of gore on Cartoon Network. It's
Right,
still a kids network. And then you watch this season, it feels the same to me.
right.
I'm
Yeah,
not getting
like I
these
would be
different
calling it
vibes.
out if it.
Whereas, like, if you look at the movies, if you compare the trilogies to each other, you can feel a slightly different vibe through the movies.
Oh,
Right.
100%. Like none of them they feel flashier. They feel like they got more spectacle to them, but story-wise, there is a complete and total difference in the way that they tell the stories in the sequel trilogies, and I'm doing my air quotes, as opposed to the prequels and the originals. So, I mean, you know, I understand Wookiee's position at the same time, but you got to understand too the
I don't
other thing that the
understand it.
show the other thing that the show is battling is that it's been on a long hiatus and people have expectations. And as always, when you have so much hype, you tend to be disappointed with everything unless it's Game of Thrones. That was just trash.
Game of Thrones final season was outstanding.
I had to do it just once. I haven't thrown
I
that
mean,
out
yeah,
there in a while.
when you sit there, what the show ended in 2014, right?
Hmm.
So it ended in 2014. So we've been waiting for 6 years just to, well, not necessarily waiting, but that's how long we waited. 6 years to get more Clone Wars. So then you're sitting there and you're like, oh yeah, I remember back when I was watching Clone Wars. It was epic. Lightsabers, blasters, there was all this action. They were telling these great stories. You had all the Jedis going on these missions. Well, yeah, that happened, but it didn't happen every single episode.
Yeah.
Like, they had
Yeah.
slow episodes here and there.
Yeah, I mean, you know that, and that's the thing. People's memories tend to get foggy over time, or if you haven't watched it in a while, it tends to get foggy over time. But when you go back through and you look at it and then look at the season, the format's pretty much the same. The only thing that bugs me is, like I said, there's only a set amount of episodes, and they're kind of need to move it along so that we get all parts of the story and hopefully it connects in a coherent way. Now, we haven't gotten to the ending, so we don't know. We could all be here with high hopes and then in it's trash, but I doubt it.
Right. I mean, like, what? The last arc is supposed to be the Siege of Mandalore. And, I mean, technically, they've started to set it up because we saw some Mandalorians. So maybe they are going to break out Ahsoka so they can use her in the Siege of Mandalore so they have a bit more firepower.
Yeah. By the way, anyone that says Finn had potential after the Force Awakens, just watch my series of Finn is trash, and that will let you
Yeah,
know you are wrong.
right. He had potential in the trailer for The Force Awakens. That's when he had potential.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
Because I'm
Wookie
not
put
gonna
it
lie, when I
best.
seen that trailer, I was like, "Oh man, that guy looks like he's gonna be boss." And then the movie was over, and I was like, "Oh, so he's probably dead." He wasn't.
Yeah, Wookie put it best. Finn could have been awesome, and then they made him a joke. But yeah,
Gary
so
North
get
said he
back
was
in.
the token. Can we say that, LB?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now we can pretty much say anything. We're already pariahs. So, I've already been to the sea. I've seen the river. And thank you all who are watching me, which, by the way, just a little sidebar. Thank you. I've gotten some new subscribers. I've lost some, but gained back as many as I lost. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
but you
everyone
didn't
who's
lose
level-headed.
anybody that didn't watch your videos, so it's fine.
I know. I'm still shocked that people actually watch them through.
Right. So your personal algorithm is going to improve.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I
Okay,
appreciate.
so I got a question for both of you because we haven't answered this question yet. What is your rating on the episode 1 through 10?
I gave it a 7.5. I think that's what I gave last week's episode, and you know,
Yep.
if it didn't end the way it would, I would have gave it a higher rating. But that's fine with me, man. I'm not gonna go and
Okay.
say it's a 4 out of 10 because I mean the episode wasn't trash. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I'm not too picky. Outside of the whole, okay, we ended up in the same place we started, and it was filler. But I enjoyed the episode. It had some good action, action sequences. Some of the dialogue I really enjoyed, and we got a teaser with the Mandalorians.
Right. What about you, General Filoni?
All biases in, 8 out of 10. I'm a person of character moments, and I guess it's because I've also started watching Ozarks and Westworld, review coming soon. But I started like diving deep into the character studying aspect, and for me, this was had a lot of great moments where we learn more about secondary characters, which I could appreciate, even if people don't really like them. I like that they flesh them out anyways because you don't have to. And I think that does tell good writing when you feel the need to, like, hey, they're not just instruments to move the story. They have like lives that are here. They have a reason for doing what they're doing. And when something pivotal happens and it has to do with one of those characters, like maybe Rafa selling out Ahsoka, which we're all predicting is going to happen, it's going to have more impact. Whether people want to admit it or not, they're going to be like, I knew that bitch couldn't be trusted. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
appreciate those moments. That the character building was good. And, of course, the Mandalorian thing got me hyped. I was only pissed that they just didn't do anything. I thought they were like going to go in, and when they all got surrounded, I thought the Mandalorians were going to go and start shooting people and allow them to escape. That's where I thought it was going.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I thought like when they got surrounded, I go, okay, they dropped the Mandalorian, so they're going to come in like the cover of the night and start taking people out. And then they're going to be like, hey, who helped us out? And then they'll meet up with her later. But, I didn't write the episode.
Well, they didn't want to do that because then everybody would complain that they just stole that scene from the Mandalorian show.
Dun, dun, dun.
They'd be like, you couldn't come up with your own ideas. You did that in The Mandalorian, and you just copy-pasted it to this planet. But what King Sloan said, he's giving it a 7 because of the way it ended. Wookiee Supremacy is giving it 5 angry feminists out of 8, which I don't know what percentage that comes to. What the hell's 5 out of 8? That's a new way to do it. I don't know. I was giving it like an 8.5. I love the episode and the way that they set it up. I love the lore that was set up behind it with the conversation that Ahsoka was having with Trace and Rafa about how their parents got killed. I didn't realize that was in a previous episode. I thought that was just their story. I didn't realize that actually had happened in a previous season.
Oh,
Yeah,
then-
it was in the
I-
Bounty Hunter season. Yeah, I think it was.
okay.
I got it back. It was
Well-
like episode 6 when they were escaping from the temple, and that thing, and then they gave chase to him when Cad Bane had gone and taken the temple hostage, and then they had
Okay.
figured out a way to stop him, and he was escaping. They were going through that city. That's how I put it together because I rewatched the episode. I was like, oh snap, that really did happen.
Okay.
okay.
And then huge fan of all of the action. Like, that's why I downgraded last week's episode, because there was no lightsabers, no blasters. There was blasters all over the place in this episode, and Ahsoka was using force powers like in every other scene. Like, she's pushing people, she's pulling people, she's pushing buttons. Like, the only thing she didn't do was the freaking Jedi mind trick, which, I'm surprised that she didn't at some point. And then I thought, like, you guys didn't like the ending. I thought the ending was set up so that they are going to have to connect with the Mandalorians at some point. I think that they might not know her personally, like you said, but they know of her, and I think they need her, so they're going to break her out. I think that was the setup. And if they would have just flown off the planet, how are they ever going to connect with them? Because if they flew off the planet, they're just going to fly back to Coruscant and go back to the hangar and never connect with these Mandalorians at any point. Why would the Mandalorians go to Coruscant and how are they going to be able to find Ahsoka on a random platform on a planet that's one giant city.
You're making some good sense there. But
I thought that the episode was great, and I think that you're both wrong. It's not filler.
well, let me just tell
And my
you.
last name's Lucas.
Let me just tell you, for disagreeing with me, I'm banning you from YouTube.
You're going to kill my channel, LB. What?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's going down. So, oh well. But you know what? This is what happens when I watch stuff live, like, and I'm commenting like on a YouTube stream or whatever. I miss details and stuff like that. So that little detail that was a callback to an older episode in the Cad Bane arc that was in season 2, which was supposed to be season 1.
Okay.
Man, that's interesting. Like, if I would have rewatched the episode, I would have called on to that. So that's pretty cool, you know. I like that. I like that. So it's like it ties in. So it's not like these are just characters that, you know, has nothing to do with anything. So
right, like this whole time we thought that these were technically random characters from nowhere that she just happened to run into, when in reality they aren't necessarily random characters. I mean, yeah, we didn't know that they were connected to the story, but they are intrinsically connected to the story.
Yeah, and that was the thing that I appreciated about it, and that's why I rated it high, because I like the fact when someone recalls back things that they've done. One of my favorite shows was Breaking Bad, and like right up to the last episode, they connected something that was done in the first season or the third season, like this object. They connected it to the very end of the show and everything that happens. And I like when writers do that and they don't just forget what they've put in. Because, I mean, 4 or 5 seasons, and then you take like a 6-year break. That's hard to remember every arc you've done. I mean, and connecting it to season 2, that's some pretty good writing.
yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm getting called out in the chat for using big words, I think.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get deep, give you all the best type of commentary we can give. PB does have a large vocabulary when he wants to.
Yeah.
I try.
My vocab's pretty basic, unless I'm writing.
King Sloan had a good question for us. Did we have a favorite season?
Yep. 4.
All right. So 4? Okay. What about you, PB?
I mean, it's either 4 or 5. Like, which one has the most Hondos episodes?
I can't even tell you.
Ooh, I'd have to say 4, I believe. It was
Because
when they were dealing with the bounty hunters a lot, or
right. Like, he is by far my favorite side character. Like, I know that Lonely Kennedy's favorite side character is Cad Bane, but mine is Hondo.
See, me and Lonely Kennedy share the same thing. I love Cad Bane, like one of the best bounty hunters they've ever created.
I mean, I love him too, but there's something about Hondo and his charisma that he seems to be able to not necessarily corrupt people, but get just about anybody to come over to his side temporarily to help him out with whatever he needs.
Yeah, he's probably the slipperiest character and survived so long because of it, because he was in Rebels quite a bit.
Yep.
And he's on a ride at Disney World.
Yeah,
really?
he's moved. Yeah,
Hondo. Yeah, he's on Star Wars. He's on the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Millennium Falcon ride, Smuggler's Run.
Oh man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he narrates the ride.
Son of a! How did I not know that?
I don't know.
I mean, I watched your 40-minute video.
I appreciate that. Yeah. when
Now,
you wa-
okay, yeah.
yeah, he's when you
That
walk
park better
into
not fail before I get there, damn it.
when you walk into it, yeah, he introduces you like when you get onto the actual ship, and then like he's basically talking to you throughout the entire ride.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I would work for Hondo.
Sloan, I agree with you. The Battle of Umbra arc was pretty good, but I have to say, for the win, the Bounty Hunter arc is my favorite. I believe season 2, the first half of season 2, that's my favorite arc.
Yeah,
I,
fire.
I just, I, yeah, like Cad Bane, when he steps on the scene, this mother something attacks the Jedi. Who in the history of Star
Right.
Wars was ballsy enough to attack the Jedi where they live and escape?
Yeah, bruh.
Like, he not only hit them where they live for the holocron, but he escaped. It was the holocron heist arc. I love that. Like, he basically sold out everyone. He was virtually the last man standing at the end of that.
Yeah. Sloan. General Krell was
Yep.
trash, man. He
Hate
was
him.
definitely
He's
top
so
top
annoying.
3. Yeah, top 3 worst characters. Trash, man.
Like, give me any other Master Jedi, General, whatever you want to call him. I'll take Plo Koon, Kiari Mundi. I'll take all of them weird-looking guys over that one. He was such a prick.
Yeah, for no reason.
Like,
I'm not gonna
you're
lie,
supposed to
I
be a
like them.
nice guy. You're a Jedi. Like, I ain't never seen somebody, like, for no reason, just up front, like, you were just introduced to someone, and you're a prick.
Right.
I liked him, so
Of course you did.
Of course you did.
I was like, they finally modeled someone after me. I was like, yeah, just put them people in line. You know, he's a Jedi. Why does he have to be nice?
Well,
Where in the
Mitch,
code
there's
does
plenty-
it say you have to be a nice guy?
Well, you ain't necessarily got to be a nice guy, but you should be wise enough as a Master Jedi to understand that you don't know every single thing in the universe.
Right.
Like, he was a prick because he thought he had all of the answers to every question that could ever be asked. And you don't need to question me because I'm smarter than the entire council put together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you are, you are.
Yeah, except he's not. Like, how many times was he wrong and he just thought he was right?
Okay, you have an off day every once in a while.
Sure.
You know, if you still have a good batting average, that doesn't mean you're a terrible batter.
Right, except they're not playing baseball. These are lightsabers.
So Cold Jeremy says douchebaggery is not the Jedi way. I would disagree. Yoda was a douchebag for a while. I mean, I can point out a lot of Jedis who were douchebags.
Yoda is trash.
Every time?
Yoda is trash.
That's the problem. Like, you can be a douchebag, but you ain't be a douchebag every time. Like, let's do a movie example. Like, hey, Mace Windu, Anakin, like, we're gonna make you a Master Jedi, but we ain't putting you on the council. Kind of a douchebag move. So you'd be like, oh, Mace Windu's being a dick. And then episode 3 comes around and he's like, hey man, like, if you just hang out here, we're gonna get the Chancellor, and then if you're right, then I'll 100% trust you from now on. Like, he wasn't being a dick at all in that scene.
Nah. He attacked Chancellor for no good reason. I was very upset about that. Chancellor was just trying to bring ultimate peace, and people just didn't
He didn't
understand.
attack the Chancellor at all until the Chancellor started killing his friends.
I mean, they raise lightsabers. That's like if someone raises a gun at you, you got to respond.
Whoa.
He gave him a
If
chance.
a police officer says you're under arrest, that doesn't mean that his gun is already pulled out and pointed at you. Like, until you do something that's antagonistic, that's when they pull the gun out. I mean, you're a black guy driving down the road, then they pull the gun out and they're like, put your hands on the dash.
Oh man. But yeah, so we've pretty much gone through the episode. We agree
We
in
do not
certain
agree.
points, except for filler. PB is taking LB's position in this, which is weird, and saying this is not filler.
I thought it was one of the best
yeah.
episodes of the season.
Hey, that's fine. I perfectly explained why I think it's filler. I just didn't say, hey, it's filler. Why? Because.
No. You two actually give reasons as to your position instead of just saying, oh, well, nothing happened in the episode. It's filler. It's a matter of perspective. Like, you can look at a scene and see it completely differently than the way I do, but all of us still enjoyed the episode.
Yep.
Exactly. And I think that's why I like having these talks. I've heard rumors that we're an echo chamber, but this definitely disproves those rumors. So it's great to get different perspectives. And the chat, thank you, chat. You guys have been very lively tonight. Especially,
Hell yeah, I appreciate everyone being here. King Sloan, USMC Rebels, Perp Minded, Stone Cold Jeremy, the Senate, Wookiee Supremacy, K-Log was here earlier, the Polish guy, Gary North. Am I missing anybody, the two of you? Because I think I said everybody that dropped in.
No, I think you got everyone. The Senate. Did we get Senate? Yeah, I think we got everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, so I really appreciate it. And look, I am so glad. On a little bit of a sidebar before we start wrapping this up, I wanted to just give a personal shout out to the chat and everyone who's been interacting and all of my subs. Thank you very much for coming here. I'm glad, honestly, to have a small crowd because y'all have good input to say and not just stupid comments about the EU. So I really appreciate all of you coming here, listening to us chat for an hour, however long it takes us to analyze the episode. I really appreciate you guys. And I appreciate your guys' support for our late night talks, despite the shenanigans, and sticking with the channel. Thank you, everybody. It means a lot. So let's start wrapping things up, and we'll start plugging our channels. This was a short episode, so nothing really much more to see here, folks. Mr. LB, tell them about the great 2-night WrestleMania you had with your special commentator.
Yeah, man, we just went through WrestleMania 2 nights, man, this weekend. WrestleMania 36. Enjoyed doing live commentary with, Zod Ross. It was a great time, and probably gonna do more live commentary, whether it's wrestling, sports whenever it comes back, movie, TV shows, that type of stuff. It's fun, just having some fun and chilling. So I think it works out better for me for something like I've seen, or like sporting events rather than TV shows that I haven't seen, because it's more fun that way. So I might I don't know, my Wednesday stream I'll see if anyone wants me to do a live commentary of a movie, maybe a horror movie or something. Who knows?
Ooh.
Ooh. That would be fun. And you could get me or Perp, we watch a copious amount of horror films.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really interesting to see that commentary. And then, of course, the person who keeps me in line and the commander and co-host of Late Night Talks, Mr. Pop Culture PB. Tell them about your channel and the March Madness matchup you got going.
Interesting. So you've plugged me incorrectly because that's not the next video that's coming out. I have it uploaded. I just have to, I don't know, fiddle with the title, fiddle with the description, fiddle with the tags, but it'll be released here in a couple hours. And it is the funniest play that I saw in the entire 2020 NFL playoffs. And it's a nice short video. So you can all look for that in the next couple hours that I'll be releasing. And you can all have a laugh over on my channel, Pop Culture PB. I'll put the link in the description momentarily.
Nice. He had a surprise video I didn't even know about. And tomorrow I actually have a surprise stream with Second Street Marvel at 3.
Ooh.
We are going to talk about a surprise topic. I don't want to give anything away right now, but
Is
it is
here
comic
or on his
related.
channel?
Here in the Fandom Zone. We're going to talk about some comic stuff because I've actually been dying to talk about someone who knows stuff about comic books. So I'm going to actually talk about my favoriteest comic in the world with him and see his take on this company and their backstory and things.
Captain Marvel, issue number 1.
You caught me again. Damn it. It was supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, well.
No, but everyone who grew up in the 90s, you guys are going to know what we're talking about. And even if you haven't, you've probably heard of this character or heard references or seen a movie or a show based on this character. And I'll just give you guys a little bit of a hint. It has nothing to do with DC or Marvel. So put on your thinking caps and see if you can guess what character we're going to be talking about. And also, I have a late night stream tonight. So join us at the midnight hour. We got some awesome topics we're going to be talking about. Some Corona-related news, some entertainment shenanigans. And, you never know who's going to pop in there because we've had all sorts of surprises at late night. So, yes, Stone Cold Jeremy, I guess I do have some kind of unbridled love for Queen Bree. You've exposed me.
By the way, chat, I taught Second Street Marvel everything he knows. Just look at the beginning of his channel. He didn't talk comic books, and then he came across me, and then all of a sudden he's talking comic books. He took all of my comic book knowledge, like all of it. I don't have any knowledge about comic books anymore. That's how much of it he took from me.
Oh, he straight Keanu Reeves you.
Yeah.
He downloaded the information.
Yep.
But thank you guys so much for showing up. Thank you for supporting us. If you know people who would love my channel, go ahead and tell them about me. Tell them about everyone on this panel, LB, PB, and come on over and visit us. Until next time, everybody knows the rules here in the Fandom Zone. Kneel before General Filoni.
I ain't doing